sir.
We going live.
Yeah, we can.
I can't hear it play.
My name is Kim Daly. Just me rapping. Rapping to my younger self, speaking to my older self. You got this, girl. You deserve the best.
I drive a wood grain Honda, vision like Wanda. Rose gold grill, cause my smile from Wakanda. You can call me your honor, a lawyer, a baller. Who thought this JD lead to me making boppers? Transition melodic, this flow ain't exotic. It's from suburbs where we worship ebonics. This hit is ironic, I want it, I got it. And I'm from the H, so you know this iconic culture. I'm on my way to the top, it ain't no way I'ma stop. I'm like a light in the dark, I keep on shining and I do it for the culture. Yeah, for the culture. I'm on my way to the top, it ain't no way I'ma stop. I'm like a light in the dark, I keep on shining and I do it for the culture. Yeah, for the culture. The bass bumping, jumping out of the gate. I'm coming out with the gaze. Ayo, Montero, go get Lizzo, I'ma get lean away. This is a song for the day. This is a song for the way. This is a song that changed the meaning of my nigga that's gay. How you gon' hate anyway? There's so much more I could say. Stayed in the closet, couldn't rock it till I turned 28. This is my time to create. I'm on a mission to make that kingdom come that will be done for folks that God ain't make straight. So I stay rocking my crown. Ain't no knocking me down. I got the breath of life in me. This is holy ground. I speak to angels with sound. This beat been calling them down. I know where strength is made perfect. I look up when I'm down. If I was lost and I'm found, this here is glorious rebound. I am from another planet. I just play on this ground. Told me shoot for the moon, leash your land with the stars. Well, look, I overshot it. Now I'm speaking from Mars for the culture. I'm on my way to the top. It ain't no way I'ma stop. I'm like a light in the dark. I keep on shining and I do it for the culture. Yeah, for the culture. I'm on my way to the top, it ain't no way I'ma stop. I'm like a light in the dark, I keep on shining and I do it for the culture. Yeah, for the culture. 300K on the shelf, I quit my job for my health. But tell me, is it really gambling when you betting on yourself? I feel God speaking in braille, that's why my hope isn't frail. It's like the Prince of Egypt and me been waiting to excel. I got away with the word, writing this beat with no swerve. I'm bringing order to the court, they say, oh, you got some nerve. I'm reaching levels unheard, these dreams are fate, not deferred. Just like Zaila Scripps trophy, this is just the hors for the culture. I grind all night and I do it for the culture. For the culture.
Different. That's different.
Yes.
Different. Fire. Feel good. That's different. So, I'm sorry, y'all. If y'all not watching this live, y'all gonna be a little lost for right now. But that's all right. You should be watching this live. But you know we're gonna let you slide on that. And to watch us live, Go to the Underground Lab LLC and see us live right now. You'll see what we got in the studio. Well, not necessarily in the studio, but we got some special guests for y'all today. But before we get to our guests, I got to check on my guys. Frank, what's good, baby?
We are here. I'm back.
Yeah, I see you got your fresh boss on. Hey, man, don't tell everybody. Don't be the same, man. We got guests. My man came with a haircut and everything. He don't clean up like this when it's just us.
Hey, no.
You just elbow.
Hey. Just
Yeah. That's what's up. That's what's good. Hey, DJ, how you feeling, baby?
I'm good, man. Staying light skinned.
Hey.
Now go ahead with all that. You red beans and rice right now.
Red beans and rice.
Came back from the DR, so I'm definitely looking Dominican-ish right now.
Okay. True.
Did they think that you was at home?
Oh, absolutely,
man.
Absolutely. But I said, you know what? Next time we go. Probably go back to Cancun, but I'm definitely about to get tight on my Spanish because I'm good for about a good 30 words.
There you go.
You got 30 on you?
Yeah, I got 30 in the pocket.
You're better than me, and I'm half.
And once the conversation get going, and we start going to that realm where I don't know any more words, I back out and be like, no speaking, no. Poquito, my English poquito.
I don't even give them that much. They be like, but the funny thing is, I find that there's more and more that don't speak Spanish, and they like just like me, they half and half. So it's funny.
In the DR, well,
I'm scared to go to the DR until I know more, or I got to go with my family because if they find out my name is Miguel and I don't speak no Spanish, those are rap.
We've been to Cancun a couple times. You find more people that speak English in Cancun, but in the DR, nah. They if not darker than us, so it looks like a bunch of black people that speak Spanish.
They're right there on the other side of Haiti, right?
Yeah.
Which Haiti can't catch a break, but the DR is everybody's cheeks about to go to.
Listen,
and they don't. It's a lot of people that don't know English over there.
Listen, I didn't even know that Dominicans came in dark skin.
Yeah,
I want you to know that.
Oh,
being completely because my family is all light skin. They all light skin.
They both Frank complexion.
And when I first, I was like, I didn't even know. I was like, man, I didn't even know because one picked me out when I was working at the hotel. He was like, you Dominican? I'm like, yeah. He's like, me too. I was like, what?
Yeah.
From the motherland.
Especially if you go to New York, you see a lot of the darker ones.
Most definitely.
And the cool thing I like when you go, how you only understand the English word in the conversation. They be like, LeBron James. I always think that's the funniest thing.
Yeah, but how you doing, man?
Man, that's good. Just had the 38th birthday this week.
Man, hey, congratulations, man. Both of y'all just had a birthday.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to y'all.
Love August. Appreciate it.
Slim, Waffle Color just celebrating this month, man.
I love it. I love my birthday.
My man.
It's a good month. Good month. You know what I'm saying? We just got together with the family like always, and they helped make it a special situation.
Very important.
That was it. It was good.
Very important.
Our fourth member, LT, him and his family, wife and son, they potentially had a COVID contact. So just to be safe, they quarantined and staying away. No,
smart.
They had he said they all kind of had like a little mucus thing going on, but that was it. So they just staying away, to keep everybody safe, and they lock it up for 14 days or a little bit more just to make sure it be safe.
There we go.
He said he's not sure if they did or never, but just because of all of them experiencing that little mucus cough at the exact same time, they kind of figured that it might have been that. So prayers up for him and shout out to him and all that.
Absolutely.
Damn right.
So we got a special show for y'all today. I'm excited about that. Before we get into these segments, Frank, tell them who we got here.
So to our listeners and to you fellas, I happen to know these two young ladies. We have Miss Kimberly Daly and her wife, Dr. Richardson. Kimberly Daly, I just didn't walk up and cross her path. This is actually my wife's first cousin. I just happened to be blessed to know her. I became a fan of hers maybe 3 or 4 years ago when I first met her. And what drew me to her was this was a black woman who knew how to use her words. She knew how to speak, and even when she was upset, she knew how to communicate instead of just using pure emotion or action. It was just, let me tell you how I feel and what's going on in my head. And so I wasn't accustomed to seeing someone use their words to that level. Yes. And the words that she were using resonated with my spirit. So I'm like, oh, I like her, man. Yeah. She's dope. And from then I've been a fan. On top of that, one of the flyest dressers.
Okay.
I mean, Slim.
Oh,
Fly.
She locked in.
Oh, but
Locked
in. Tailor-made suits with the tag in the inside.
Okay.
Just a all around class act. She's also an attorney, serial entrepreneur now. Her mission is to help queer people reconcile their faith and sexuality.
Okay.
Right? Never heard it said like that before. So I was very interested, even though I'm a heterosexual man, but very interested in her mission because I relate what we do to Jerusalem. This is a place where our folks can come and get information, and whether we agree with it or not, at least another perspective is held here. Mm-hmm. Her wife is Dr. Richardson, and she's also a coach and consulting. She has a company. I believe she's a psychologist, but I will let her give more explanation to what she does. But they're both entrepreneurs, and we want to talk about that later on. Ladies, how are you feeling today? It's good to see you.
What's good? What's good, everybody? The energy is live. We're glad to be here. Pleasure speaking with you. We're ready to dig into the conversation.
That's it. That's it. We happy to have you both.
Hey, let's get to it. Let's get to this real. Let's get to it because I want to get to the conversations. DJ Shane, what heat you got for us this week?
Oh, I got some. All right, so, man, it's been, music's coming back. You know what I'm saying? I started off, you know me, I love my hardcore drug dealer rap. You know, my man Benny the Butcher, he dropped Pyrex Picasso. I mean, if you know, just that title alone, you know, Pyrex Picasso, it's a dope album. And pretty much, you know, that whole Griselda brand, every time they bring it tough. You know, I definitely give this one probably an 8 out of 10 if I had to give it one. Another one of my guys, Ty Dolla $ign. He released a joint project with Division.
Okay.
Dope project. It's called Cheers to the Best Memories. It's definitely one of the ones you let it play from the first track on to the end. If you know Ty Dolla $ign vibe, plus you add Division, it's a vibe all the way through. I'll probably give this one an 8.5 out of a 10. Okay. And then of course, last but not least, I mean it's not a new album, but Aaliyah.
Oh, about time they let them things loose.
They released 1 in a Million on all platforms, so you can stream it on Apple Music, Tidal, Spotify. It's out there. You know, there had been because she was signed to Blackground Music, which had like Aaliyah, Tank, Timberland and Magoo, a lot of those artists. But there was some issues with Barry Hankerson. So a lot of her music, if you didn't have it, like I had all of her music. I was a big Aaliyah fan, but you couldn't stream it on the streaming sites. But now they're slowly gonna release them. I know Tank got a release date for his first one
because we need that.
Yeah, his first 3 projects. I want to say Tank's coming out on September the 17th, but this past Friday they released 1 in a Million again. So to catch that whole vibe like we did back in the day is yeah.
So
Friday.
Tank gonna be talking about blowing people backs out again?
Yeah.
Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Okay, it's back. Okay, tenfold.
He around the way. We might be able to have to try to swing him through. He a local boy. We might have to get him in here some one way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying?
So Friday I had my Aaliyah t-shirt on when I did the Friday night fights. You know, I was just in my whole Aaliyah vibe.
Did a good job too, brother.
Appreciate it. And last but not least, we want to wish happy birthday to the late great Chuck Brown.
Brown.
Today is his birthday.
Go music.
Yeah, so we gonna do something special on the Underground Lab Radio from 1 to 3. We gonna play some Chuck, just vibe out with the Chuck. See, I got my Don't Mute
Don't mute DC.
Don't
guys.
mute DC.
So that's what I got for you.
They ain't let me have my intro today. I usually got my own intro after we do our intro, and I got put some kind of song on there. It would have been some go-go on there, but they ain't let me. They ain't let me do it today. They was like, "Nah." Frank said, "Nah, I'm gonna get. We ain't got time for that today." I was like,
It wasn't like that.
I said, all right, sir. Whatever you want.
Like that. So speaking of music, Miss Daly, your music was
What's happening, boss?
fire, absolutely fire. So we played your video first. Let's talk about the inspiration to the song. What inspired you to get into into music? I didn't know you had that talent.
Hold on. Wait,
Yo, so that's the thing about it. Like, I've been rapping my whole life.
Can she?
If you would have asked me in the middle of third grade what I wanted to be when I grew up, I wanted to be an R&B songwriter. And I also wanted to be an astronaut, but that's a whole other story.
Okay.
But like literally, like I've just always been drawn to music, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then growing up in like a super conservative church culture, like what did me and my friends do for fun? We took like the modern songs, the songs they were playing on the radio, and then we would like rewrite them to be about Jesus.
Oh wow!
And so like music has just always been part of my life. You know, I did like freestyle battle rapping in high school, but like in the cafeteria, you know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't on a Wild and Out stage. But I just always been writing. When I was in college, I did slam poetry. When I met Qulture, I was like make songs for her and sing them. I wrote my wedding vows, and they happened to be a rap. So my entire wedding vow was like a 3-minute rap that I wrote the day of the wedding. So like I love music, honestly, and it's been something that I've always been like that's been like kind of like the shy side of me, because I grew up like a bookworm. I grew up a basketball player, but like music never fit anywhere in there. So it's something that I would do for friends or just like do at home for fun. And then a few months ago, I was just like, fuck it, I got bars.
There you go.
So I'm going to do this, and I'm going to have the time of my life. And so I did. It was just like I'm not going to hide anymore.
Yeah.
I think my raps are fire, and I really don't care what anyone else thinks. I want to see this be a thing.
There's definitely a lane for you. What I saw was not only did I hear your bars, but I saw so much energy.
Oh yeah.
I saw energy that I never knew that was there. I'm talking about vein popping energy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was fun and it was exciting. So the name of the song is called Qulture for the code, but it's with a Q.
Okay.
Yes.
Go into detail about that.
Absolutely. So For the Qulture is actually the name of my company. In May of this year, after doing a lot of brainstorming, praying, a lot of exploration, I decided, because previously the name of my company was Kim Daly Enterprises, right? That's not catchy. It's not cool. Like imagine accepting, like going to do a TED Talk or like accepting a Grammy, and it's like, Kim Daly of Kim Daly Enterprises. Like, no, I knew I needed a new name for everything that I was doing. All right. And so we'll talk about all the different things that I was doing later. But eventually I was like, okay, well, what am I doing? And who am I doing it for?
Right.
And so at the time I was like, my name is Kim. I talk about faith. I talk about finances, and I talk about freedom, like in faith, family, and freedom in like every meaning of the word. And then the answer of like, who do I do it for is I do it for the culture. But like what I wanted to be more specific, right? Like, of course I do it for Black people, but I specifically do it for Black queer people. And so that was kind of my thing. Okay, culture, queer. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and substitute that C with a Q, and I do it for the culture. And so I'd already written like half the rap. I didn't have the hook. I'd already written half the rap. And then once it dawned on me that like the name of my company is For the Qulture, I was like, I'm going to make a song. This song right here, I've already started working on it. This is now my For the Qulture anthem. And I want people to know who I am and what they can expect when they come to me.
What I saw something clean. I saw something well produced. Did you do all that yourself?
Oh, absolutely not. No. So one thing that I admire about myself is I like to operate in my gifts. And I like to be around people who are operating in their gifts. And so in this case, like I have a videographer. His name is Jordan Honore. of the Cinemaniacs, and he's been doing videos for me since 2017.
Okay.
I'm talking, this dude went up to Mississippi with me, did a documentary on my grandparents' life. I used to have a YouTube show back in 2017 called The Closing Argument. He was my videographer for that. He, did anything that I needed with me and Shaquinta, and he had been doing our Sweet Spot videos.
Oh, them Sweet
and so
Spot videos.
I told him, I was like, hey, man, I got bars, and I just wrote this fire song, and I need a visual to go along with it. Like all the things that you were just saying, I want people to feel my energy. I want people to feel my passion. I want people to feel things that I touch on in the song, but like my voice alone is not going to bring across like the full energy and the full just behind what I'm doing. And so he brought that to life. All I did was pick the location of the basketball court, and pick the outfits, and then he brought everything else to life.
So in the song, there's a line that she drops, and she just drops it, and I'm not going to let her get away with just not speaking about it. But she left $300K on the table for her health, for the most part, to now pursue what she's doing now, which is big to me. Yeah. It shows that you're following your passion and your purpose versus the dollar. And I say it all the time, and there's a quote from my mother, at least I first heard my mom say it, and is seek to serve and success will come, right? And that's what I see in you, and that's what I see in your wife, Dr. Richardson. Can you speak to that line, to that bar?
Absolutely. So that bar like encapsulates so much for me, and I appreciate you giving me a chance to put it up. So number one, when I was an attorney at a giant international law firm called Evershed Sutherland, right? I was a litigator. One of my favorite facts about myself is that I'm an undefeated trial lawyer. And like
undefeated.
You're undefeated. Like you can't hold me. You can't hold me. You like literally the only competition I've ever had in life in a courtroom is against another black woman, and that was like 7 years ago.
Gotcha.
So like that shit. I walk into a courtroom, I know it's mine, right? And like I know it's mine, and it's gonna be mine regardless. But also, I got the track record to back it up. So I'm working at this large international law firm. Base salary is $240,000 a year. Your bonus just for meeting your hours is $60,000. And then there's performance bonuses on top of that could have gotten me to $350, $375. The job was hell.
Oh, wow.
It was we're paying you all this money, so we own you. You will do what we say, when we say. And I like that just didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. And I had made a series of decisions in my life intentionally to get to that point because I did want the money and I wanted the prestige and I wanted everything that came along with these ideas of success that I had developed when I was like 22 years old. And so I was like, no, I'm going to get that. I'm going to go for it. Like, I'm going to get what I want. I set a vision. I made it plain. I did the work and I reached the goal. And when I got there, I said, God damn it, this was a bad goal. I do not like this here. And I really did. So I had a health scare. Due to stress, I had like I was clinically burnt out. Anxiety levels through the roof, blood pressure through the roof, and I wasn't myself. And so I took a medical leave of absence back in April. I took a 2-month medical leave of absence. And during that time, that's just when I got all the clarity that, this money just isn't worth it. I'm grateful for what it has allowed me to accomplish this far in my life. But it's taken me as far as I'm going to go. And even if it means taking this leap of faith means that I'm not going to have 300, I'm not going to have 200, like I'm not going to speak anything less than 100 in my life. I'm speaking well more than 300, right? But it was a matter of I have to follow what I came here to do, right? I tried to do it my way. I tried to do it I want all of these markers of success. I want this money. I want this and that. And it left me like barren on the inside. And it left me like a shell of who I was. And when I realized that I had to hide all of my favorite parts of myself in order to get that money, I said that this is disrespectful to God. Like, this is not what God put me here for. Absolutely anyone could be sitting in this seat, obeying the orders of their boss at this job. But only I can talk to my people the way that God has led me to talk to my people. And I believe in God. And if I believe in God, it would be showing disbelief in God to stay in a place where I know I'm not being used according to my purpose in exchange for a few dollars.
And this is the reason why I said I have to talk to her. That
Right.
we have to talk to her. That we have to expose her to our listeners.
Let me get deeper than that, because I was listening to one of the sweet spots, right? And Doc, you had brought up being vulnerable versus emotional. And during that particular episode, you was talking about, Kim, you was like, oh, you don't see me as perfect. You don't see me like this. And Doc was like, but you can't take on all of it, have this anxiety and stress that you have and that everything that you got going on and think that, one, I'm not going to see that. And two, that we got to be able to deal with this, especially we talking about that 90-92. Y'all don't know what that is if you ain't paying attention, right? So at that point in that episode, the stresses and everything that you were referring to in that episode, is that what was going on during that period of time, like everything that she was dealing with because of the job?
Absolutely. So it was like just daily stress, daily anxiety, and I have a PhD in human development and family science and marriage and family therapy, and so I'm a therapist, a marriage and family therapist by training, and experience, all that good stuff. So I literally work with people with anxiety, with depression, on a daily basis.
How you gonna hide that?
So,
Yes, you can't hide that. And do you take Kaiser?
No insurance. Sorry about that.
I got money.
But yeah, so I can see it. Like I can see you. I have eyes. I can hear you. I can like you can go into a room. I know why you're going into the room because usually you're right here. Like that's so those types of things. What she didn't mention is like every milestone of our relationship. She had to work on the day that we closed on our house. She had to work on the day that we moved into our house. She had to work on the day of our wedding. She had to work on our honeymoon. Like every major milestone in our life, she had to work. And it was just like, we're not doing this. But even more so, like when she says like it was affecting her health, like you see her, she eats healthy, she moves, all that good stuff, but was on the brink of a heart attack. Like if she kept going the way that she was going, it could have literally been a heart attack. And so in terms of that vulnerability piece, like she was trying to hide all of these things from me. She's a very emotional person. We're both very emotional people. Like we're very open with our emotions. She's very loving, very like that comes very naturally and easy to her. And so to her, that was like, I'm vulnerable. I tell you how I feel. But no, like vulnerability is about showing the parts of yourself that you are afraid for someone else to see, that you are afraid that will be judged, or that you don't know how they're going to take it. And so, yeah, I'm like, you're not telling me these things. You're not being vulnerable, even though I see them. And so that's, just kind of how I was there to just, like, one, let you know what, you don't have to be perfect. It doesn't exist. You're not perfect because none of us are. I didn't think it in the first place, so you don't have to worry about breaking down that facade. All of those things.
And so you speak of being vulnerable versus emotional in one of the episodes, and you just went into a little detail about that. How is it to support someone with so much talent and who's a workaholic? How is that? And now you guys are full-time entrepreneurs. So when does it shut off? Also,
Boundaries, so Frank. Boundaries.
We're gonna get there. We've been watching.
That's the answer. So I'm also an entrepreneur, and I'm a therapist, but I'm also a life coach specifically for Black women who have been like traditionally like high achieving, who've done well, made all the right decisions, and have the jobs, whatever. Just the women that we like go so hard and don't really take care of ourselves. And so I was that person. I've been in that position. And doing that work, I was seeing her have the same issues. And so, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, but I turn it off. I don't subscribe to this idea that with any industry, whether you're an entrepreneur, whatever you do, that you have to give every bit of yourself to the things without getting anything and saving anything for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like we cannot function like that for a sustainable amount of time. And so while she's going through this, I'm there as an ear, I'm there listening, but I'm also offering like, did you do this? Like suggestions about this. I can't be a coach for my wife or a therapist for my wife, but like, here's my ideal client right here.
I'm about to say, you got the perfect reps right at home. All the
Exactly.
I tell people all the time, like whenever she posts on Instagram about people and their problems and solutions to them, like I am the source. Like, oh, Kim's having this problem. Like, let me go ahead and speak about it. So it was wild for me because I am like, here I am married to like the self-care queen. I am married to the boundaries between you and your job, boundaries between you and everything else, like time boundaries, say no to people, cut things off when you say you're going to cut them off. This is how she lives, breathes, and operates. And I was doing the complete opposite of it. And not only was I doing the complete opposite of it, but like, it was literally making me sick.
Wow.
And so it got to the point where, number one, this is terrible. Well, this may be not number one, it's probably like number 5. This is terrible branding for my wife. It's like, being like the wild and out pastor's kid or whatever. Like, yeah, this is like not good for the church, right? Like, my wife is over here and she's peaceful. She's waking up every morning, drinking her coffee, meditating, stretching, looking, at the flowers and playing with it. She like wakes up in peace. And I would wake up every day in chaos. First thing, it's my phone. Oh, babe, can you give me some breakfast? Oh, God, I gotta respond to this email. I gotta chaos,
right.
Pure chaos, next to like serenity and bliss. And she would end the days feeling fulfilled and feeling energized. I remember when she would ask me, like, how do I want my day to go? What do I want my day to look like? And my answer was always, I want to not get fired. Like, what would make you happy at the end of the day? To still have my job? Like, that was it. And I didn't have really an understanding that I could have more to my life. I thought that, like, me time was only for the weekends, even though I spent the weekends catching up on work.
Wow. So live by the gun, die by the gun.
Absolutely.
That's what that sounds like.
Back with what you were saying about boundaries and stuff, because a lot of times we think being happy or being fulfilled is saying yes to a lot of things, or being able to get certain material things. We have to say yes to so many things, but it's so freeing and it's a lot of peace in saying no. I know me as a DJ feeling like, well, I have to be at this club, or I have to be at this place, I had to make an appearance here just to feel fulfilled based on everyone else's expectations. But once I started saying no to certain things, it gave me more peace, because my energy wasn't taken away by being in those same situations, and I think a lot of times we don't realize the peace that comes with saying no.
Yeah. So speaking of peace, Kim, can you get a little more into how you're helping queer folks reconcile their faith and their sexuality? Like,
because that's deep, by itself.
Like, what does that mean?
Yeah. All right. So in order to fully explain this, I got to give a snippet of my background. So I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised in the Black Baptist Church. Okay. So I wasn't going to church 3-4 times a day, all the time. But like sometimes I did. We got morning service, we got afternoon service, go eat some dinner, come back, we got just more church. Like that was part of my life for a little while. But I grew up in the church and I grew up in a very religious family. And so I went to a private, like evangelical Christian elementary school where we were rewarded. Like I can find notes from my dad from when I was younger where I would get like favors at home or get like increases in my allowance if someone said that, like, oh, Kim served at school today. Like I could see the Spirit of God in her kindness or whatever it was. And so the scripture says, raise up a child in the way, or train up a child in the way they should grow, and when they're old they won't depart from it. And I never wanted to be that departure, right? And so when I came to understand my sexuality or to begin to understand my sexuality when I'm 12 years old, the first thing that I do was be like, ooh, okay, I think this is called being a lesbian. I think lesbian is synonym for gay, where I know the Bible says something about gay, and I flip to the back of the Bible, and I'm like, gay, yep. Leviticus, oh, I'm going to hell. Genesis, oh, I'm going to double hell. Romans, oh, I'm going to hell. They're throwing away the key, and I'm never coming back. And so that combined with, you know, your traditional teachings in church, those messages reiterated at home in like a disciplining type way, like you're not allowed to be like this. You're not allowed to be around people who are like this. We don't do that in this house. Obviously led to like a severe identity crisis for me, because I'm like,
that's pressure.
I'm just trying to understand how I feel. I don't know if I'm lesbian. I don't know if I'm bisexual. I don't know if I just have a crush on one person. I don't know anything. But all I knew is that none of that was okay. And so as I continued to grow up, I went to college. I was a ministry leader in college. Like I've always had a relationship with God. And ever since college, I've had a relationship with God that's been like separate from my relationship with my parents, but also derived 100% from what I learned when I was younger. And so as I get older and older, and my desire to be in a relationship with a woman is stronger and stronger, and I'm trying to mask it by like being in a relationship with men. I'm trying to heal it by going to, you know, pray away the gay therapy. I'm trying to pray it away, literally looking at my journal entries from 2009, 2010, 2011. Lord, make me over again, creating me a clean heart. Like, let me be born again. Anything to take these desires, which are not of you, take them away from me so that I don't disappoint you. So it was a constant mental turmoil that was covered really well on the outside. I mean, like my friend, like it was obvious if you wanted to see, like,
You wouldn't really cover it.
your girl was gay, but I was doing the things, man. Like I was dating the guys. You know, I finally, at like the age of 24, I gave in and I started wearing lipstick.
Wow.
And like wearing more feminine clothes. I was like, well, maybe if I do like more girly things, because I was a tomboy growing up.
Right.
I was like, well, maybe if I do more girly things, then that'll put me in this spirit of like liking men.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do it. And it didn't work. Right. And so when I turned 28, I finally got to the point after having friends tell me that I was gay and that it was okay to be gay. And then like, now I need new friends because my friends are the devil. Like, this is not okay. It's not okay to be gay. Right. I'm going off of what I learned at 12 and what I never let go of, even though it didn't make any sense to me, because I wasn't going to let my mama down. I wasn't going to let my daddy down. I wasn't going to let my church down. I wasn't going to let God down. This book says what the book says, and I'm going to take the book at face value. Worst idea ever, by the way. But I'm going to take this book at face value and apply it to my life in a way that causes me great discomfort and great harm.
Yeah.
When I was 28 years old, I said, like, this is literally the stupidest thing I've ever done in my life. And I was dating a young man. Bless everybody, Jesus, because that should have never happened. But I was dating a man who was interested in marriage and wanted to propose and all of this, and it was getting serious. And I got to the point where I realized, if I marry this man, at some point I'm going to cheat. If I marry this man, at some point I'm going to have an affair, not with another man, but with a woman, because I've been pushing this desire away my entire life, and I can't push it anymore. I have prayed for God to take this away my entire life, and God isn't budging. And me trying to be something that I'm not is causing me death on the inside and may very well cause me physical harm on the outside if I continue down this path. So I'm not doing it anymore. God, you're going to have to figure it out, okay? Because you made me gay. This is your problem, not mine. I'm going to move on. And then after prayer, after years of theological study, after years of hearing perspectives, biblical perspectives, religious perspectives that just weren't the ones that I realized that I didn't have to do that, right? I realized that my sexuality is actually an intentional mark of God on my life, and that it's not something to be pushed away. It's something to be embraced. And by embracing that, I'm actually far closer to God, far more in alignment with God and who God made me to be than I ever was when I tried to push it away. And so now that I have that freedom, right, I can sleep easily at night. Like, I can look at my wife and think about God at the same time and not think that I'm going to suddenly burst into flames. I can read the scripture from an academic perspective and still get inspiration and still get what I need from the scripture without being like, actually, I'm going to go to hell for this, right? Like, I have an academic understanding of the scripture that matches my theological understanding of God, so that there is that reconciliation. There is no more gap. I don't have to choose anymore. That's the intro story. I'll tell you about what I do in a little bit, but I wanted to just stop right there at the intro story.
So what I heard was religion versus relationship.
What I heard was expectations. And I pressure, like I've said this to these guys many times over, and I'm gonna keep saying it, that I feel that one of the things that can be harmful to any kind of relationship, whether it's just you and your friend, it doesn't matter, it's expectations. And especially when you try to, it's expectations that you will never meet. You know what I mean? Like, that's like you talking about the religious aspect of that expectation, the pressure from your parents. You know what I mean? And then whatever friends are around you that think the way you and you, it was killing you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be even within your marriage. You know what I mean? You could have these unrealistic expectations of each other. Like, say you don't cook, and you let her know, like, look, here go this. I don't cook. I want you to know I don't cook. Don't expect this. And she accepted that. And it's, my wife don't cook. I'm the cook. You know what I'm saying? And I figured that out, like, but she will go work. You know what I'm saying? So I figured that out. So I don't expect you to be my mother, because that's not who you are. I want you to be, my wife's name is Kim too. I want you to be Kim. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, expectation. That's what I heard, all of that. And to me, all of that was summed up in expectation. And when you realize that I'm not doing this, I'm not falling for this level of expectation because of what everybody else said on me anymore. I'm going to do where my heart leaves me. And look where you at now because of that. That's, look. Yeah.
And now that you're in this space, and you spoke about expectations, and that was one of the topics on the Sweet Spot, was expectations, right? Yep. So speak about the gender roles now that you are in the same sex relationship, and you're happy and you're in bliss. You know, talk about the gender roles and what you guys expect from one another, and how you coach your clients into going in the right direction.
Yeah. So with that, like the baseline of it really is like they don't exist. Like, you can't have gender roles in the same gender relationship. Like, who's the man? Nobody's the man. Like, it just isn't a thing. And so that's where we have to start. But what we really have to think about is like the influences of gender roles, like as a societal expectation, like societal understanding of them. We've both been socialized, heterosexual, dating men, whatever. And so there are certain things that we think about, like, we're aware of and understand, but the reality is we get to negotiate and navigate this however we want to. Mm-hmm. And so, like, Kim is typically more masculine presenting, and I'm typically more like feminine presenting, but at the end of the day, like, we're both women. Like, she don't cook because she shouldn't cook.
I remember the egg story.
So like that. So like we made an agreement. Okay, if I'm gonna do the cooking, I'm gonna take care of the kitchen, and she does the laundry. I don't like doing laundry, and so it's more of a, okay, what do you enjoy doing? What do I enjoy doing? What are you good at? What are you not good at? What am I good at? And so it's more of those conversations to keep things functional, so that our relationship, like, things are taken care of. It's not so much about who takes care of them as much as it is about, are these things taken care of? And are we both feeling supported and loved and cared for in equitable ways? So, like, really, like, we don't really have the gender roles in the relationship, because we're both women, and we get to decide. But the thing is, with like all relationships, people get to decide.
I was going to say that.
I was about to say the same thing.
And one thing that I've learned from watching the Sweet Spot is, I know that the intended audience may be the LGBT audience, but there is so much for a heterosexual man to take away from the sweet spot. I mean, just when you talked about gender roles, and you know, there are charts out there that will say that, you know, the black woman makes more on the average than the black man, you know what I'm saying, in the U.S. currently now. So when we talk about gender roles now, your wife has to go to work the same 8 hours or 12 hours that you have to go to work. You still have school, your kids, you still have the home and all these things. And if you at work now, what happens? You know, and I like what Dr. Richardson just said. It's a conversation where you both get to choose. Like Miguel, you said you cook, but you also went to school for cooking too. So there was a lane, and you guys know y'all place in the household. I think that's very important, or what you just said. Yeah. I've learned more about relationship through Dr. Richardson and watching it than Kim, you know, and watching the sweet spot, because Dr. Richardson, she spits heavy game.
She do.
Heavy game.
She do.
Heavy.
Listen.
Heavy. And you know, even having this conversation about expectations, for example, right? Like Shaquinta and I'm going to talk about like the financial arrangement that we had, because even in our relationship, like there are just things that I like to do. Like and even when I was in relationships with men, I still was kind of like the provider. I like to give, like I'm a generous person, and I subscribe to like a what's mine is yours type of like thing. And so that's the way that we structured our relationship. At the time that we got married, I was making probably $100,000 or more a year more than you were.
Not quite,
but about $100,000 more per year than Shaquinta was when we got married. And so I was like, cool. Like, number one, we're not splitting chores in the house like 50-50 or whatever. Like we're splitting them kind of fairly, but like we're absolutely not going to split bills 50-50. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like I have more income to spare than you do, and so like even though she can pay all the bills in the house herself and stuff, like we eat out, like we do things, we spoil ourselves around here. And I wanted to be the main driver of that spoiling. Like that's what makes me happy. Kind of made me feel like, you know, I'm not a man, all right? I'm gonna take care of my woman though, all right? But now we're in this situation where in this point of transition, it's reversed.
Yeah.
And Shaquinta is making significantly more than me. Mm-hmm. And so in alignment with the equity and how we have set our relationship up, like now it's her carrying a larger portion of the economic load than I am. And I had to deal with my own feelings of, wow, like when I had the bigger pockets, all right, like I would talk about equity and I would talk about all of this, but like really I enjoyed being able to do for you financially in a lot of ways. Yeah. And right now, like I don't have that enjoyment. I have to be on the receiving end. Like I am in her shoes. I'm like, yo, so like, how did you get over yourself?
Because the part of what, like in my past relationships, even though I made less than she did, I also made more than my partners. Mm-hmm. So like I was working in academia. I had my private practice when we started dating, all that good stuff. So I had also been the person who made more in my past relationships. And so coming into this, it was like, I don't like this. Because I moved cross country, all that good stuff. And so I was just like, I had to get over myself of like this idea of, her spoiling me and, doing like additional things. So like now I'm like, I know how you feel. I've been there, Yeah. But I think the thing about our relationship is like we both know like we got each other, like regardless of who makes more or whatever, like we are partners. Like we have always had those conversations from the beginning of our relationship. We've been able to talk about money, and marriage and family therapist had one of the biggest like challenges in relationships, one of the biggest like causes or topics that lead to divorce is issues around finances. Mm-hmm. And not necessarily like how much money people make, but literally being able to communicate about them and navigate those challenges. And so that's been something that we've strengthened from the beginning, being able to talk about money, being able to talk about it in non-like emotional ways, and emotional ways, because both matter. And yeah, so like it really is just about the trust and knowing that like we got each other no matter what, even if we have to deal with a little bit of discomfort in the process. Yeah.
Speaking of trust, let's talk about the conflict resolution skills that you guys have.
Yeah, before you throw that in there, Frank Shank, go ahead.
I had a question for y'all. It's so interesting. Even when everyone talked about like the religion and even your occupation, we always talk about being acts of service.
Yeah.
But in relationships and getting in relationships, people always look for what they can get out of a relationship versus being an act of service or being of service to the person that you're with. What creates that transition to where we look at both of those avenues differently?
So like not really like, so it's like not really focusing on what you can get out of a relationship, like focusing on like other areas of the relationship as well.
Just being a service to your partner versus can this person give me what I want? You know.
Right. And so like for us, we're both very like we're very loving, I like her a little bit more than me, but we're very like communicative, very loving, very caring. And for me, this has probably been this has absolutely been the safest, most open relationship that I've ever had. And so for me, like being able to communicate, being able to resolve conflicts without having a bunch of unnecessary drama, misunderstanding, being able to listen to each other, trying to really understand and see each other and accept each other for who we are. Like those are the things that drew me in from the beginning. And those are still things that like we need in a relationship, but I also, by us giving those things to each other, we were able to give it. So it's very much like a reciprocal relationship. So by us being vulnerable, but us allowing ourselves to be seen, that allows, for her to see me and for me to see her, and have that safety in all kinds of ways. So it goes back to that vulnerability piece of allowing ourselves to be like open and honest, like just radically open and honest with who we are, what our needs are, what issues and challenges, experiences that we have had in the past that influence our present and how we respond to things, and however we are today.
Yeah, and I want to speak on that because for me, like I said before, I'm a giver. That is my posture. It's my posture in romantic relationships, and I think it's also my posture in other relationships in my life. Is I am firmly aware of who I am and what I have to contribute, and I take that energy and that awareness in choosing where to give my energy. For example, Root Cause Podcast. Y'all are not the first people who have ever asked me to do a podcast, but you are the first podcast that I've ever accepted to do, because I'm like, okay, like this is somebody that I want to share with. This is an audience that I want to speak with.
Can we get some love like that? Okay.
Yeah. Like these are guys that I want to have a conversation with, and so I didn't come into this thinking like, well, what can I get out of this? Right. It's like, I like the energy here and I want to share my energy in this space, because if I'm going to be a part of something, I want to make that thing better. But I also, like, I'm not a fan of like taking something from the bottom to the top, right? Like that other thing has to already be established and already be something that I want to invest in and I want to exchange energy with. And so in relationship with Shaquinta, I'm like, number one, I knew that I was going to have to be a certain type of person, right, with certain qualifications and certain characteristics in order to be able to pull a woman like Shaquinta. So once I got Shaquinta, I'm like, now I done pulled her and I got to keep her. And not only do I have to like keep her with me, not like keep her financially, but like, not only do I have to keep this, but like I'm still going on my mission, right? This is my time to create. I'm on a mission to make that kingdom come that will be done for folks that God ain't made straight. So I need somebody who can partner with me in that mission. If we are on mission together, I can't just take from her.
Right.
I can't. Because then I'm going to be all the way up there and my partner going to be back there. And I didn't sign up to do this alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think it the mission of the relationship, that was clear at the beginning. I like you, you like me, we both moving in these directions. Our directions are compatible. We are not moving, we're doing different things in different lanes, but we're moving in the same direction for the same reasons. So taking from her ends up hurting me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if she were to be just trying to grab and pull from me, like, I can't give from an empty cup. So to the extent that you are pulling or taking, you also have to be replenishing.
There we go.
Right. Because and I guess Dr. Richardson could touch on this. A lot of times, especially, when you hear single people talk about relationships, they talk about what they want from a person. They have to make this amount of money. They have to do these things to service them. And then also when couples come into issues in their relationships and they come into therapy, it's always, well, she ain't doing this or he ain't doing this. But you all said a word that I think is dope: equity. When you have equity in something, it's not what you can withdraw from it. Yes, when you have equity in something, you get benefits from it, but you're also invested into it. And a lot of times we don't equate the word equity within our relationships because we only look at, well, this person isn't doing these things, not realizing that the more we invest into the relationship, we typically can get back what we want in return.
Well, one thing I know they understand. Well, and they've said this, that they understand that it's a partnership as well. And because people don't look at it like, saying, people are starting now, be like, oh, marriage is a business and all that other stuff. So people are starting to kind of see that now. But at the same time, people don't know how to translate that into still being in a relationship. Yes, it's business, but you got to add a relationship to the business aspect of that. And how do we do that? And I think they're navigating that perfect. And what I wanted to stamp with this to everybody listening, whether you're same sex or not, this whole gender role thing is real. Because I got a close friend of mine now, and her girlfriend, and me and her have conversations like as if she one of the fellas, right? And I be like, and at first I didn't know. I was like, I didn't know, like, what does a relationship look like with a same-sex individual? I don't know what that's like, right? I got friends, but we've never had deep conversations. Me and my homie now, we have deep conversations. I'm like, oh, you worried about what I'm worried about? It's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, she told me, she's like, I hate going to go buy panties for my girl. I was like, for real, you don't like doing that either? I was like, that's wild. I didn't know that. Like, and I clown her all the time. Like, her birthday passed. I said, look, she always wearing jeans and shorts. I said, look, for your birthday, I want to see some birthday pictures on that thong. She be like, man, you better leave me the hell alone. I ain't wearing no thong. You know what I'm saying? It'd be funny. I be messing with her all the time, but I just didn't know you don't know this thing. The stamp that I wanted people to understand is that it doesn't matter if it's same sex or not. It's the same conversations. Forget that, like you say, the gender role thing. Let's get rid of that, because it's what we work our marriage like this. What are you good at and what am I good at? My wife, I can manage money, but if I do it, she not gonna like me if I do it. Versus if she do it, like she does it better. I didn't know that you could call people that you owe money to and be like, I can't pay you this week, I'll pay you then. Me, I just be like, yeah, take it so I ain't got to deal with the phone call. She don't work like that. I'm like, oh, okay, you can negotiate. I didn't know that you can negotiate.
I just want to.
I want to be done with it. And she was like, no,
wait a minute, hold on. You paid them full price? Like, do you not know how to make this out? You could pay them 20% of the price and be done with it.
I ain't know that.
But that speaks to her skill.
That's
She's more of a negotiator versus
So
and I think it goes back to one of the points that I made earlier was when I was 28 years old trying to figure out my sexuality, I was holding on to principles that I was taught when I was 12 years old. When I'm 32 years old trying to figure out what success in my career looks like, I was holding on to principles that I started forming when I was like 16 years old. And I think that these gender roles and these gendered expectations are the same way. We are holding on to these principles that we were taught when we were 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old by our parents who had different circumstances than we had. They're operating off of what their parents told them. And they had different circumstances than they had. And so the idea, for example, that it's the woman's job to cook, to clean, to take care of the children, and it's the man's job to make money. And I don't really know what else happens in that gender role conversation, but like there may have been some truth to that in 1950 when women were not working in the workplace and when they were at home due to reasons that we don't want to replicate now. But when we take that 1950s mentality and we place it in 2021, where your woman is also working 8, 9, 10 hours a day, and she want to come home to a clean house and put her feet up. But a lot of times the woman's coming home to a man and he's got his feet up and she's got to begin her second job. Why? Because we're operating off of these expectations that are 70 years old. And
that didn't really work then.
That didn't really work then either.
They was angry. Shoot.
And I was about to say,
precisely. Woman wanted to leave the whole time, but she ain't have enough money to leave because it was halfway illegal for her to work, or working would have brought in 10 cents to the dollar based on what the man was making. So it just wasn't worth it. Yeah. And so now we have these situations where, come on, somebody, there's a man who isn't good at finances, right? Because like when God made people, he didn't say, I'm going to save all the financial cents and I'm going to put it in the man. And I'm going to save all of the cooking cents and I'm going to put it in the woman. Like, that's not what God did. Yeah. But we act like, well, I'm the man, so I got to manage the finances. No. I'm the one who knows about finances the best, so I'm going to manage finances. And that gives like,
or we have, we both do it well. As nobody does it better. We just talk about it and make decisions.
And exactly. But like, we have to have the freedom within relationships to be who we are, and like let that be enough, as opposed to trying to force these other roles on us, not because we want them, not because it's fair within the relationship, but like just because.
So with Qulture, how do you guide your clients when it comes to the spiritual part of it?
Absolutely. So we do a lot of academic work at the beginning. Like I tell my clients all the time, when I'm meeting with them at first, there are books that I can give you for $15 where you can read what the Greek was, what the Hebrew was, how these scriptures got changed over time. I can give you that. Like, you don't got to pay my prices to get that knowledge. But the problem with that knowledge is that's usually like the number one thing is, I've got clients now, they're closeted, right? Because if they come out, not only do they feel like their entire world would fall apart, but they're like still trying to hide from God. Because they know, on the one hand, I didn't make myself this way, so God must have made me this way. But then they still believe that like who they are is sin. And the reason why they believe that who they are is sin is multi-layered, but it comes from their parents, it comes from their church, and then it comes from the Bible, right? And the Bible is the thing that informs their parents. The Bible is the thing that informs the church. So the first thing that we do is we actually engage with these scriptures that appear to condemn homosexuality, that appear to condemn same-sex relationships, right? Spoiler alert, they don't. So that's a conversation for a different day, a longer conversation. But even knowing that intellectually, now it's a theological problem. Because if you're taught to believe that God is a punisher, then even with this knowledge, you're not going to believe it. You're going to believe that somebody is lying, somebody's out here making these highfalutin arguments just so that they can get away with sin, and I still have this issue with God. So then we work on your conception of God, your theology, your God talk. I believe God to be a creator. I believe God to be love. I believe God's generosity and creativity and grace to exist in abundance. Mm-hmm. Those understandings of God inform the way that I interpret scripture, the way that I receive scripture, right? I tell people all the time, there's an argument in the scripture for anything you want there to be. If you want there to be an argument for abortion in the scripture, there's arguments for abortion in the scripture. You want there to be arguments against abortion in the scripture, there's arguments against abortion. If you want there to be arguments against gay people, there's arguments against gay people. If you want there to be arguments for gay people, there's arguments for gay people. For example, there's scriptures that talk about Psalm 139. For I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Like you knew me in my mother's womb. I'm created in your image. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And then there's scriptures in Isaiah where we're filthy rags. There's scriptures in Psalms where the heart is deceitful above all else. Who can trust it? All four of these things, or all three of these things, can't be true at the same time. I cannot both be fearfully and wonderfully made by God and be a filthy rag. And so for my clients, it's, do we want to focus on these theologies, on these lifestyles, on these beliefs that like, I am wretched, that there is no good thing in me? Or do we want to look at the other side of the scripture that says that God made creation, smiled down on creation after creation was made, and said, this is my creation in whom I am well pleased? Do we want to believe that as children of God, we have the marks of God on our life? That is love, that is creativity, that is kindness, that is boundless compassion. Or do we want to believe that we are inherently guilty, inherently sinful, inherently problematic, and we wouldn't be anything at all without, I don't know, salvation? Like, those are competing theologies, and we have the choice of which one we want to lean into. And I choose to lean into the theology that gives life and gives life more abundantly.
So what is the end goal for Qulture?
Yes, so the end goal for Qulture is to be a community where Black queer people and our non-problematic allies, right? So that's Black non-queer people, that is white queer people. Yeah, we got to put a little, put an asterisk next to that, right? Because I want there to be a space for so many people who are in my inbox, right? I could open my inbox right now and I can point to 100 different conversations of people saying, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one that had these struggles with God. Or I thought I was the only one who came out when I was 28 years old and doesn't even know how to be in a relationship because I've been in a relationship with men my entire life. Or I thought I was the only one who doesn't have queer friends, right? I got a lot of queer exes, but like I don't hang around queer friends. Or I thought I was the only one who like still wanted a relationship with God. Or I thought I was the only one who wants to have like a normal traditional family except the gay version. And so I'm bringing us all together, right? So my first goal is to dissipate this notion that I am the only one. This notion of aloneness, this notion of who I am as a person and what my concerns are exists in a vacuum, and that there's no one else that's going through what I'm going through. The amount of mental strain that it puts on a person to think that there is something wrong with them because they're the only ones having this issue, when really other people are having the issues, they're just not talking about it. So I want a space for us to just be like, bruh, whew, I can exhale. I don't have to pretend here. I don't have to act like I have it all together here. I don't have to act like every single day on Instagram is a highlight reel, but like shit is real, man. I'm lonely. I'm depressed. I'm stressed out. I'm unfulfilled in my job. I don't even know how to find happiness in my own life. Cool. Come to the Qulture. It's a hangout spot. Turn on some music, grab a drink, sit on the couch with your friends digitally and have these conversations. And the conversations aren't just, whew, I'm going to exhale. It's like the conversations that we're having on root cause right now. All right, you know, you've been working with your therapist and you have uncovered that, you know, there's an issue with your self-worth. And you have to rectify this view of self, right? What do people do with that? They go to therapy. Okay, cool. But like my therapist isn't gay. My therapist isn't a Black woman. Like my therapist doesn't understand these specific struggles. And I can only rely on my therapist for 50 minutes a week or what have you, right? They can go to the internet and Google's going to have all kinds of advice for everything. I want there to be a place where we can come together. We're going to have Thursday night fireside chats, for example, a Q&A where people can submit their questions what they need for advice or what they're struggling with. And we talk about these things live on Thursdays by someone who's been through a lot herself and has like come out victorious on the other side. Dr. Richardson's gonna be in there. We're gonna have relationship segments, our Q&A, our ask the doc. Doc, here's what's going on in my relationship. Here's this recurring issue. What should I do? On Sundays, we're gonna have Sunday sermons with or without scripture. It could be a lesson that we're learning for the week. This week, for example, I'm learning that ain't no shortcuts to the success that I'm seeking.
Amen. Amen.
This week, I'm learning that the same way that I had to put in work, all right, to become the basketball player that I was, I didn't get to just sit down and visualize myself shooting like Steph Curry. I had to, I'm laying on the couch at a kid, 10 o'clock, I'm supposed to go to bed. I'm laying there shooting. No ball in my hand. I'm just shooting. Sunday morning, I'm getting up, I'm going to the gym, I'm putting in work. So these are lessons that I'm teaching myself, reteaching myself as an adult.
Yeah.
I can't just think of the success, plan for the success, and then just like hope that it shows up, right? And so in the culture, there's a lot of people like who follow me on Instagram who think that I'm perfect. Bruh, no, don't think that. Like, I am just like everyone else, except for I'm fully tapped into the gifts that God has given me, and I'm not shying away from that, and I'm trying my best not to let my ego get in the way, and I'm trying real hard not to let fear stop me. But I want other people to be able to come in to see that, to experience that. And when you walk out of the culture, when you close your app for the day and you go on with your life, I want you to go on with like new energy, with new confidence, with new things to think about so that you can be the best version of yourself and know that there are other people around you in community with you that want to see you succeed and like low-key want to hang out with you in real life. Because making friends as an adult, finding people that you got things in common with as an adult is difficult. I found friends recently and like they mean the world to me. And I never thought that like I could have friends that get me so well at this point in my life.
Amen.
But I do. And I want other people to be able to have access to that as well.
Amen. So before we wrap up, I want to know as from you two ladies, how can we bridge the gap from the queer community to the heterosexual men? Like how do we support, our sisters, children, those that are going through the things that you described on today? How can we love on them, especially when we are foreign to all of this?
But don't just one thing. I'm with you, Frank, but don't just make it just same sex as far as women. You know what I'm saying? Like,
with the queer community.
Period.
But like, so what is the expectation from the queer community to men? How do we bridge that gap?
I'm going to say the first thing, I think one of the biggest challenges between between the queer community and the hetero community is this idea that like the queer community is like throwing something in people's faces or trying to like having an agenda, to the effect that there is an agenda. The agenda is to be able to be free, to be able to talk about our relationships and what's going on with us and walk down the street holding hands or doing whatever without this belief or this threatening feeling. Like literally, we're just trying to live. And so one of the common conversation is like, I don't want to see that on TV. You see hetero relationships, you see men and women all day long, but the moment a gay couple is on the TV, the moment two men kiss on TV, it's like, oh, like, throwing this shit in our faces again. It's like, this is just, it's life. And so one of the first things is just like removing this notion that people are just trying to throw something in your face. People are trying to make everybody gay. But no, like nobody can make you gay. Nobody can make you gay. Because if that was the case, people who are gay would have been made straight a long time ago. It does not work like that. But what it does do, being able to see two men or two women on TV or a trans person or whoever on TV or out and about, it can absolutely save a young person's life. It's not going to make them gay, but it will allow them to be free to be who they already are. Right. And that's what people think that like, oh, this is like influencing the children. No, because if you ask any gay person, a lot of gay adults can date back to when they were children and knew they were gay then, but they were afraid. And so, yeah, I mean that's really it. Just removing this notion that we're trying to persuade something or change something, and not be personally offended when someone's just trying to live their lives.
And for me, like I've got a multitude of answers. I'm gonna try to keep it narrow. Number one is, Frankie, Miguel, DJ Shane, having these conversations, right? Like when there's traditionally like a podcast held by 3 heterosexual black men, statistically, you are going to get more homophobia, more like negative talk about just more toxicity in general than you would otherwise. So like the fact that you are talking to us right now and your listeners can be like, damn, like I just thought lesbians sat around and ate pussy all day long. But like, man, they over here, they got the same problem. Like it's the same problem.
I got that problem.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just want to sit around and eat pussy all day.
I do too.
But
It's the exposure aspect, right? Like now people are like, oh crap, like oh, they just be at home watching TV, watching Netflix, taking care of their dogs, trying to figure it out, just like the rest of us. Just getting that, like, making it less of a foreign concept.
Yeah.
Because when it's a foreign concept, then it's like, I don't want that gay shit around my child. First off, we're marvelous, right? So, like, your child is going to have a less good life by virtue of, like, us not being in it. So, like, that's a mistake. That's a mistake. But also just, like, compassion.
right. Yeah.
There are things that I don't understand, for example, about the trans community. But, like, I love you, right? So, like, you want me to call you by this pronoun or that pronoun? I don't have a problem respecting you. Mm-hmm. It's not that hard to just, like, be kind to people.
Right.
And then when there's the religious aspect over it, like, think for a second, is what you are doing when you're turning your nose up at gay people, when you're turning your literal back on trans people, when you're spewing vitriol at people when they walk down the street, or when you're covering your kids' eyes, that man over there wearing a dress, I don't want you to see that. What are you teaching your child?
Right.
Right? You're teaching your child that if someone doesn't fit within this extremely narrow box of how a boy should be, how a girl should be, how a man should be, how a woman should be, that they are to be shunned, that they are to be pushed to the side, that they are to be outcasts over there, right? Where is the love of God in that? I want to be holy. There's nothing holy about this. Like, literally, Jesus would not treat gay people the way that you were treating them.
No.
Period.
I believe that.
Point blank. So, like, are you sitting here actually serving God? Are you being a testament for, like, the glory of God, the love of God? Because you ain't got no heaven and you ain't got no hell to put nobody in. Amen. Except for the hell that you are creating on earth right now for other people. And so, truly, I want heterosexual people, cisgender people, black people, I want everyone to take a second and get over yourself. And just, like, be open to learning about a way of life that is outside of your narrow worldview. That goes back to these expectations, right? I'm sure that, straight men want to not have to be strong and providing and fixing and doing all of this all the time.
I don't. Like, I be getting tired of fixing stuff.
I think it's impossible,
man.
I think it's impossible to be all of those things all the time.
I cry.
And so you learn to try to deal with it. And I think that's part of our problem is that society holds us to that standard all the time,
and then creating those safe spaces. Like a lot of the times, you can only be a certain thing all the time because it's not safe to be, even as a straight man, it's not safe to be me all the time, because I have to live up to these expectations to where I can't be vulnerable. The spaces that I am don't allow me to say like I'm not good or I'm going through this, but that dialogue has to create that safe space.
Exactly.
We like to have the masculine and the feminine conversations all the time, and more recently for me, I got 2 girls and 2 boys. So the one thing about our generation or our age range is we got 1 foot in how our parents were raised, and then we got 1 foot in. We started this. We got 1 foot in about everything that's happening now. We started this. Like my brother, who's not here, he's 13 years younger than me, but he's still considered our generation. But at the same time, he's more part of the newer generation, right? So it's like, as like me, Frank, Shane, we're in a situation where I'm constantly in struggle or fighting. Like, all right, that's not an ideology I want. I have to get rid of that. But it was what was shown to me. It was what was programmed into me when I was younger. So I let my daughters, who are 19 and 16, check me like, no, daddy, you can't think like that. And I'm like, what? I didn't know that was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I let them do that to me, and it's still a process. You know what I'm saying? Still getting past some of those things that we were programmed with as younger. Like you said, this 5 and 6 and 9 years old. You know what I mean? And just trying to get through that. And then like the whole Me Too aspect. Before Me Too came out, I helped my church do a video, and we called it Me Too. And the whole concept was exactly what you're saying, that there's nothing new under the sun. Yeah. And the biggest trick is where people think that they are the only one going through whatever it is that they're going through, and that they can deal with it, and you can't deal with it. And that's where you're gonna die at. You know what I mean? Like, and that was a big thing that we showed amongst men, because men didn't want to. I'm not going to share. I'm not talking about this. I'm not want to talk about me having problems with my money or my finances or my wife making more money than me, and like all of these different concepts and everything that y'all talk about. And I reiterated again that it doesn't matter if it's same sex or if it's not. It's still the same problems. We still in a relationship. A relationship is a relationship, and we still got to navigate it, and we all got to figure out what works in our relationships, period. Like I'm saying, what work for Frankie and Toya don't work for me and mine. Don't work for Shane and his. Don't work for y'all. What y'all do might work. Like me and my wife, we do things like y'all, some of the things that y'all do. So it's listen. Yeah.
Oh, quick story. When we went to the DR, there was another couple that came that nobody knew about, because my brother, his wife, it was her friend, and as she was telling them about the trip, the whole time they were planning and coming on the trip, but it was like a surprise for her, but we didn't even know about it either. And they were a same-sex couple, female, and their relationship was horrible. But to see like, damn, they messed up. It's nothing like you ever been around a couple that relationship is so bad it makes you feel good about your relationship.
Absolutely, we doing good.
I mean, they couldn't decide on if they wanted ice water. Well, how much ice go in there? I don't know. I don't like mine's that cold. I mean, it was so toxic.
Went back home.
It brought all the other couples even closer, because we was like, damn, we don't argue like they do, and to see that. Toxic relationships have it can go either way.
Oh, because somebody be like, oh, see, that's what happened with 2 women together. Miss me with that, man.
It was like, we was like, see, it could be bad all the way around.
Hey, look, the best wedding that I had ever been to was a queer wedding. 2 females. Me and my wife went to an all-white wedding. That was the best wedding ever. Yeah. Because it was a party, the love that was in that room, because the acceptance and everything, and what it took for them to be able to finally be who they are, and their families to accept them, and one of their fathers get up and like, that's our baby, we love him. You know what I mean? Regardless to any of that, like, of course it might be a shock, but at the end of the day, like, this is my baby. And like with this whole masculine, feminine, male, female, like, we human. Try to be human first before being anything else. If we can be human first, then a lot of these things that we deal with, we don't deal with them. But
I will say this as we wrap up, that when I listen to you, Kim, talk, and I listen to your stories, you start to use words like ancestors. And so that resonates with me, and that's telling me that you're learning outside of the Bible too. The Holy Quran says to study and go everywhere to study. That's how you make yourself a complete person, not just looking at one specific specific scripture or book, but looking at a whole conglomerate of things to make you who you need to be, the best person that you need to be. Take the meat and throw away the bones. Kim, Dr. Richardson, please shout out your businesses and let us know and let our listeners know where they can find you, where they can reach you, because these two ladies are.
Oh, they want to know.
They're based in Houston, but they're very powerful too.
I'm getting texts right now as we speaking. Like, what's their IG? What's their everything?
And we need to cash mob them ASAP. Go ahead.
Bet. So you can find me on Instagram at I am Kim Daly. That's D as in dog, AILY. I am Kim Daly. Or you can go to www.fortheculture.com. For the culture, culture with a Q. But if you follow me on Instagram, you will get the sweet spot conversations that we have. You'll get some of the unpacking religious baggage, finding freedom in your sexuality conversations that I have. And then starting in September is when I'm launching this community, The Qulture, for Black people, Black queer people, and our non-problematic allies. Very non-problematic. There's an admissions page, okay? You need to identify in what ways you are non-problematic.
There we go.
Why are you here?
Why are you here? Because we are trying to literally create like a safe space for us to just really get to know each other, hang out, learn, and ask the questions and have a space that we don't necessarily have anywhere else. But the best way to stay in contact with me is on Instagram at I am Kim Daly.
Yes. And I am on Instagram at Dr. Dr. Shaquinta, SHAQUINTA. So at Dr. Shaquinta. And it's www.beyondachieving.com. And I am a life coach for Black women who want to go beyond this achieving, doing all the right things, taking care of everybody else, go beyond surviving to thrive and living a life where she feels balanced, whole, and like she actually matters in this world. So that is me, and I will also be launching a membership community in mid-September as well. So
stay tuned.
Don't wrap it.
But Frankie, Miguel, DJ Shane, thank y'all so much. We had a blast talking to y'all. Happy to talk to y'all anytime. Thank you for introducing us to your community, and these are the conversations that need to be happening. And so, like, props to y'all for having the conversations that need to be having. Props to y'all. I'm giving you one more thing. There are, again, if we're thinking about the impact of this relationship between queer people and heterosexual people, particularly within the Black community, right? Like, I would not be surprised if you guys, I don't know your followers that well, but maybe somebody who don't really follow you too well was just like, hey man, don't be doing that shit. They don't be having this. And you're like, we're not about that life, right? So to see 3 straight Black men be like, yo, chill, like, we
got smoke for them if they want it.
I'm all for the smoke.
Yeah, we got smoke for them if they want it. We all for that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Like you said, it's about our people. And our people come in all shades and colors. They're all sexualities. And you guys are providing a healing for our folks. And our job is to recognize that and help promote it.
Yeah, I wanted to, like, this is, like I said, while we live, and my friend that I was talking about, she's texting me as we going live. I just wanted you to hear. I know you probably hear this stuff all the time, but this is live, and this is what she was texting me while we were going. I was like, I just sent her the link, make sure she was watching. She was like, yeah, make sure y'all drop y'all info. She said y'all damn near told her whole coming out story while she was listening to y'all. She also said that this was a conversation that was definitely needed, and she said, I wouldn't think that the one with the short hair is like me. They're the whole opposite of the norm, role-wise in the community. So, all right, they love it. She said she even got a problem going to the women's bathroom because she tired of getting the side eye sometimes. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool. I just wanted y'all to hear that. Like, this is one of our followers, and just what, you know, she's listening to the show and appreciating what y'all doing, and you know, that we were able to do this today. So I always tell people when we get guests, just like I was raised, now that you've been on here once, you're no longer a guest. You family. Got it. So anytime you don't have to wait for us to ask you guys to come back. If y'all are doing something and y'all want more people to be exposed to it and know about it, you can hit us up. We like, let's set it up and we can go. Let's we can do it. Like, we don't have a problem with that. We not the type that, you know, we expecting people to wait for us to reach out to them. If you done been on the show and you want to you want to get on and we want to talk about some more stuff, let's do it then. Just hit us up.
Let's do it.
Oh, we plan on it.
All right.
I'm ready for them campfire joints.
Hey, listen.
go.
Oh yeah, man. Fireside chats, bro. I got you. I got you.
You got the s'mores. You got the s'mores.
I'm trying to tell
Absolutely.
you. I've been trying to
I'm
get to Texas
listen,
anyway.
we go.
There we
So
go.
It's gonna be some smoke. All right, it's gonna be some fire. We'll have a good time.
There you go. You are now listening to the Root Cause Podcast, where we have hard conversations. We like to have the hard conversations. We barely scratched the surface of this conversation today. Thank you, ladies, and we enjoyed you. We will be having you back soon.
we
Fellas,
love y'all.
All right.
We love y'all. We love y'all.
Hey, amen. Appreciate y'all so much.
Yes,
Thank you.
indeed.
All right, salute, Queens.
All right.